What's going on, everybody? Welcome. Today is Wednesday. It is April 5th, 2023. My name is Jeremy. This is my first cup. The coffee is hot. Well, how are you? What's going on? How was your Tuesday? Was it as busy as mine? What did you do? Tell me what you did. And who's here? Good morning, Frank. Good morning, Dennis. Good morning, Jenny. Good morning, Brian. I hope you're all well. I hope all the rest of you out there are well, whether you're watching maybe live, maybe you're watching later, maybe you're watching with your earballs. You're listening to the audio. Doesn't matter to me. I'm just glad you're here. Thank you for being here. Yesterday was a recording day, knocked out 4 episodes. Woo! Remember when I was going to do 4 episodes a few weeks ago when we had no power? Yeah. So got through all 4 of them, and let's see. Great. What were the other 2? Great. I'm trying to remember them all. And my brain's not fully awake yet, I guess. All of them came out good, at least good. Some of them came out great. We had one that was vying for title of longest episode, but it didn't come close. So, but it's still a longer episode. Had one, the last one of the day ended up being 2 hours. It's a great episode. Wonderful. Here's a hint: historical stories and conversation. And I think you're all going to like it. Good morning to you, Gad. Everybody do me a favor. Hit that like, that thumbs up, that star, that heart, whatever you got, depending on how you're watching. I would appreciate it. And just a reminder, those of you who watch later, you can still do that. It's still one of the ways that the show reaches others. It's the recommendation algorithm. And how does the recommendation algorithm work? We don't know. But we do know a few things. And we know that you hitting the star, thumbs up, heart, like, whatever. It sounds like we're talking about Mario Kart, doesn't it? Whatever you do there, it does help. So thank you. Good morning to you, Nick. I need to get a more comfortable chair for the recording. I don't like this chair. I've had this chair for a while, and I've thought about replacing it. But I'll be honest, like, it came when this is part of why she became an ex-girlfriend, moved away. She gave me this chair, and I was like, this is a better chair than I have. Got rid of my other chair. Cool. But somehow it's become uncomfortable. I don't know how, but I've resisted getting rid of it because I'm trying to not do it simply for, I'm trying to convince myself, I guess, the only reason I want to get rid of it is because of who it came in from. But that's silly. Doesn't matter where the chair came from. If it's uncomfortable, it's uncomfortable. I went and I sat in some chairs at Staples a few weeks ago, and I sat in one and I went, oh my God, this is so much more comfortable. I could actually work from here for a long time. And the one thing I'm not happy about with one of the episodes I did yesterday was I was so uncomfortable. I was really fidgety, and I worked really hard, so you couldn't tell. But if you watch it, you'll be able to tell. You'll say, oh, that's the one Jeremy was talking about where he was uncomfortable. So it's on the list again to go get a more comfortable chair. I don't like having to, it feels wasteful, but an uncomfortable chair is kind of not wasteful. Jenny says, I had all of the kids yesterday. I assume she means all of her kids, not all of the world's kids. We had a nice breakfast, did an Easter scavenger hunt, had yummy leftovers of the Easter ham dinner I made on Monday, and dyed Easter eggs. And I'm finally getting over the cold that Matt brought home last week. LOL. Did you dye the eggs and then hide them, or did you hide them and then dye them? I may be attending an Easter egg hunt breakfast thing on Easter Sunday. My last improv class is actually on Easter, and I'm not sure why. Seems like a day that we might have skipped for everyone, but it's not what's happening. So I will be missing the typical Easter meal that I generally attend. And one of the folks who lives nearby volunteered to host everyone if they wanted to come. So it looks like a bunch of us will be going there. I need to figure out what I'm going to bring for food. And it sounds like there will be very, very few children. This is going to be an event for the adults, apparently. So that's cool. Gad says, cameo eggs. I don't know what that means. Good morning to you, Stacy. Is that an autocorrect of something, perhaps? Or maybe it's just a term I'm unfamiliar with. Maybe it's something you weirdo Europeans do. So other than the uncomfortable chair, we tried doing something a little bit differently and had a little bit of technical issue. It's not going to ruin the episode by any stretch, but it just kind of reinforces that we've got some technical things that we're going to work through. Andrew and I already talked about. I said, that thing that we decided we needed to talk about, we need to prioritize talking about that. See if that's what we're going to do. Went for a walk because I was just so fidgety, had some food and went to bed very early. It wasn't even 8:30 when I went to bed, and I needed it. I hadn't slept well the night before, went to bed late. And I appreciate having, just a little bit of update on this thing, not that they sponsor anything, but this Oura Ring, whatever you're getting, something that tracks your sleep, because it can be really easy to say, oh, I'm fine. I was not fine. It was telling me, no, you're not fine. You need to sleep again. Well, okay, this is why I bought this. So I went to bed early. I didn't go to the gym yesterday. I didn't do any activity other than walking around my house and went for a walk. And it's what I needed. And I woke up today and I feel so much better. Could I have slept longer? Yes. But I could usually sleep longer. Frank says, I went to bed at 7:50 last night. No shame in that. And Jenny says, we only dyed them, the eggs. We don't hide real eggs so things don't get ugly. LOL. The scavenger hunt involves plastic eggs. Well, it's a lot more fun to find stuff that people actually want, candy or whatever, in a plastic egg than it is to find a hard-boiled egg. Whoever started that tradition, hey, kids, go find some hard-boiled eggs. And then what? I don't know. I would assume back in the day it would have been bringing them back for prizes or something. Oh, and Gad says, correction, camo eggs, joke ruined. Okay, so camo eggs makes way more sense than cameo eggs. Completely understand. So, yeah, so the Sunday thing, I've been asked to bring something to put in the eggs that we'll be hiding. I don't know, what am I going to bring? Money? Candy? Fortune cookie fortunes? Have I ever told you all I have this idea? One of my oldest business ideas. And somebody may be doing this, but I've never seen it. I've also never looked. But this definitely predates the internet. A fortune cookie company where all the fortunes are really dark and mean. Like, you'll get in a car accident on the way home. Like really nasty stuff like that. I think that's funny. I don't know who would use those. I think you would have to start a very oddly themed Chinese restaurant to do that. Paint everything. Oh, kind of sells itself, doesn't it? Kind of a goth Chinese restaurant. It's paint everything black, rename all of the food. Be super gimmicky, but people would go as long as the food's decent. Stacy says, cool colored paper clips and binder clips for the eggs. I don't think I want, that doesn't sound fun at all. Maybe to very specific people. Stacy would probably like cool colored binder clips and paper clips. I know other people who would, but I don't know this group well enough to just say, hey, I brought you stationery stuff. Jenny says, we put clues to the next egg in each plastic egg. The prize at the end is the basket, which is full of more than enough candy. Well, that's fun. That sounds like a good time. So what's going on today? Today is a busy day. Andrew and I have a meeting about All-In Weekend. For those of you attending, things are plugging right along. We're 3 weeks out. There's a lot to do. But we're almost there. Everything, although the stretch goals are ordered and they're all happening, and it seems like that's all good to go. But we're in the 11th hour. We've got a lot of stuff to do, and we'll get it done. I have complete confidence of that. That doesn't concern me at all, but it's got to get done. So we're going to get it done. I've got a chiropractic appointment today. What else am I doing today? I'm going to try to go to the gym. Actually, I will go to the gym. It's a question of which one. Am I going to CrossFit or not? TBD. And I've got 1 to 2 other meetings. I don't even remember right now, but they'll happen. And in between, I'll try to do some other work. It's going to be a busy day. It's a busy week. Recording week. I fall behind on other things. It's normal. Good morning, Rebecca. Rebecca says, I noticed someone asked about if you have any Red Dragon sweatshirts available. Do you know when those might be coming out again? We're doing a new edition of the Dragon hoodie, and I'm still trying to do another similar design, but not a dragon. Working on both of those, and is the only reason for the holdup at this point, to be blunt, other people's inability to get things over the goal line, whether it's people I'm hiring on Fiverr or other people. They're coming. Is there going to be a red one? I'm not 100% sure. We will be releasing 3 to 5 color combinations that are TBD. Jenny says, Goth Chinese, I'm in. If I could eat there, even better. You know, if it's going to be a Goth Chinese restaurant, why not have some options for people who don't eat anything like you? Cat says, would be some big eggs, but hide some weapons. And after you found them, you have to fight each other with what you have. Sort of a Hunger Games Easter. That sounds like a lot of fun. Frank says, how about Trader Joe's ginger snaps? Let's see, those eggs. I don't know. Do those cookies fit in those eggs? I've never purchased Trader Joe's ginger snaps. I don't know that I've ever had them. I also don't like ginger snaps as a cookie, but I know plenty of other people do. I'm trying to come up with things that aren't junk food, because I know that's what most other people are going to do. Yeah, I'll figure something out. There's always something. Money, I don't know. Just go to the bank and get it $20 in pennies. Come up with something. All right. Now, Frank, who is here, of course, sent over some things for us to talk about, gave us some quotes. We're going to shift into those now. I would love to hear what you've got going on, what you're going to do today, what you're excited for, what your training might look like. But we're also going to talk about these quotes. So let's see what's happening. Frank says, how about some dollar coins? I don't know how many eggs are going to be. That could be expensive. And Jenny says, Oriental Trading has a bunch of tiny toy options. I don't think I have time. I'd have to rush the shipping. And even rushed shipping where I live is not always reliable. So that's fine. It's honestly, if I show up with food but not something for the eggs, it's not going to be a big deal. I'm not concerned. All right, here we go. Different thing. Do this one. There we go. Okay. Our dependency makes slaves out of us, especially if this dependency is a dependency of our self-esteem. If you need encouragement, praise, pats on the back from everybody, then you make everybody your judge. Frederick Solomon Pearls. That is a deep sentiment. The more value you put on the opinions of others, the more you are giving them power. Makes sense. I get it. That's not an easy one, though, is it? But it's necessary. You know, one of the best pieces of advice I ever got on this front was don't worry about the opinions of people for whom you'd never ask their advice. That was a big one for me. That helped a lot. In fact, I had somebody reach out yesterday with they were upset about Monday's episode with Jeff Speakman. If you listen to that episode, watch that episode, great episode. And they took issue with it. They said there are things that are factually wrong in that. And I went, okay. Never said that any of our episodes contain the truth. They're interviews. Apparently, some people don't understand what an interview is. I don't know why that's difficult to understand. I've also never claimed to be a journalist. I've never claimed that martial arts radio was the news. But once in a while, I get one of these messages where people reach out. You know, this person said this factually incorrect thing, and you need to know about it because it calls your credibility into question. How? Did I say what they said was true? Well, no, you put them on your show. Put a lot of people on our show. None of it's negatively affected my credibility. I like to talk to people. I have interviews. This is the same argument that people throw at Joe Rogan. Your credibility is compromised. I just like having conversations with people. In fact, I'm pretty sure my show predates Joe Rogan's show. And the premise, you know, granted, he's got more episodes, more reach, more money. The premise is roughly the same. I just like talking to people about subjects. I'm talking to people about them. I like to hear what people have done. I like to hear their stories. Spoiler alert, stories aren't always based in 100% in the truth. Guess what? We all have things that we think we remember correctly, but we don't. So that's a whole bunch of context for me to give a rather short punchline of, I told this person, okay, it's fine. I'm not concerned. He said, well, you really should be. And I said, well, you know what? If it's important to you that the podcasts you listen to are all fact-checked, then maybe ours isn't one for you. I don't care. Do I care about this person who I've never heard of before making a critical statement of me and kind of implying some ethical failings that you would have used to? Was it my favorite part of yesterday? No. To me, it's funny now. There's something, clearly there's a story there. That's how I'm looking at it. There's something about Jeff Speakman that this person finds something that gets them revved up that he's trying to discredit him, whether or not his claims are true. There are plenty of people out there that I know say things that are false. I don't put any time to discrediting them. Do you? What is it that makes someone do that? There's a story there. And I find that interesting. He says, I've said this many times, everyone is the hero of their own story. Yeah. Number 2. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who at best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly. Theodore Roosevelt. It's almost like that one applies to what I just said. I didn't know that was going to happen. I didn't read the quotes ahead of time. There are a lot of people who spend a lot of time saying what other people should do. Do it yourself. Early on, there were a lot of people around me with regard to Whistlekick, people that I have maybe cut out now, maybe I've just stopped being around, who had all sorts of ideas of what I should do. Well, you should take your logo off and put mine on and sell some to me. No. Does Nike take their logo off when they do custom shoes? No, I'm not going to do it. Well, you really need all these other colors. Okay. Are you going to lend me a few tens of thousands of dollars to do that? I just opened my business. Would you buy them anyway? Guess what? When I got other colors, not a peep. Not supportive. Just wanted to be critical. And in both of those examples, and plenty more I can come up with, these are people who have done very little with their lives. Yes, in both cases, they've opened martial arts schools, they've taught other students, but neither is held in high regard by anyone, except maybe their own students. These are people who, when they saw what was happening with Whistlekick in the early days, they took a lot of pride in, we'll say being helpful. They felt like they were part of something. And then I outgrew them or started to grow. And then they took shots at me. Some quite publicly. Okay. So now they sit on the side, as many do. And, well, this is what's wrong here. This is what's wrong there. You're wrong. This is wrong, 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 wrong. Right? It's the personality of the troll who doesn't realize they're a troll. Shut up and do something yourself. If what I'm doing is so terrible and if you are so brilliant, do it better. You know what? If you do it better, one of two things is going to happen. I'm going to stop doing what I'm doing, or it's going to force me to get better. It's kind of the martial arts way, isn't it? How much better as a martial artist do you get when everybody around you is significantly less skilled? It's kind of hard to progress. How much better do you get when you're in a room with a whole bunch of better martial artists? Yeah, that's where the progress is. Nick says, the internet is weird in that way. I don't know how many people would go into a grocery store bulletin board and rip off one of the phone number tabs for someone advertising guitar lessons to call and tell them they hate the sound of a guitar. But on the internet, people find it necessary to comment instead of just moving on. People seem to think that because they can express their opinion easily, that everyone wants to hear it and that their opinion is worth sharing. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone deserves to have their opinion. You are welcome to yours, even if it is rooted in ridiculousness or falsehood. I really don't care unless we're collaborating on something, unless I have a reason to care. Right? If you believe the earth is flat, I'm going to exert absolutely zero energy to convince you otherwise. It is not worth my time. Gad says, people were angry at Quentin Tarantino about the Bruce Lee scene in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. As a Bruce Lee fan, I didn't mind one bit because look at the title. Once Upon a Time, it is a work of fiction. Sure. Dennis is calling it troll book. Yeah. Jenny says, how many people have actually changed their mind based on a troll post they saw on social media? Very few. Although, fun fact, unintentionally, if you remember, I talked about a TikTok video. Somebody was saying 10-year-olds can't be black belts, right? This whole thing goes back a few weeks. And I posted something in response and explained my point of view, and had two people, had a bunch of people engage. Some respectfully, some not. But a couple of the people that were not disrespectful, but probably could have been more respectful, they responded, and they left a comment, and I did not engage with them as if they were trolls. I treated them with some respect. Two of them said, you've shifted my opinion on this. Great. That makes me happy. It's not why I made the video, but guess what? Respectful conversation can lead to a shift in ideas, in perception. Crazy. You mean if you do something other than just yell at people and call them stupid? And I'll be honest. I follow most of you on social media, and I see some of you do it. You repost things that are just completely disrespectful, and it makes me wonder: do you actually think that betters the world? Give that a thought. All right. And our last quote today. Thank you, as always, to Frank for what you do for the show. Thank you to Josh for our theme song, and thank you to Denise for the audio. Criticism may not be agreeable, but it is necessary. It fulfills the same function as pain in the human body. It calls attention to an unhealthy state of things. Of course, Winston Churchill did not grow up in the era of the internet, and I'm sure that if he had, he might have applied some modifiers to the word criticism. Because simple criticism from a random resident of England during the time of Churchill's power probably wouldn't have made it to him. What criticism was he receiving? That of people on the radio, newspapers, politicians, people that at the time were able to articulate with some intelligence. Criticism that was rooted not in tribal politics, but a bit of sense, some alternate perspective. And if we're talking about that kind of criticism, I wholeheartedly agree. There is a lot of value there. What role does criticism play in our training? In our martial arts upbringing, criticism is another word for refinement or need for refinement, I guess. If your instructor says, okay, let's do that again, but let's change this or that or the other. That's criticism. Criticism, that word, we've come to take it as a negative because most criticism these days seems to be given negatively. And how can you think otherwise when even people, no, we're not going there. We're not going there. I was about to go political. But criticism at its heart is not positive or negative. This is a thing you could do better. It's in the delivery. It's in the intent. It's what's in your heart when you give it. And it's why you got to be careful when you give criticism. Don't give too much. And remember that the person receiving the criticism may need you to be a little delicate, a little gentle, kind. There's nothing wrong with being kind. Nick says, the qualifier is constructive criticism made through respect. Yeah. Is this feedback that can actually be used? And am I giving it from a good place because I genuinely want that person to improve, whatever it is? Or is it about me? A lot of criticism is given because that's what people want. Well, you should do this because that's secretly what they want. Your whatever is too expensive because I can't afford it. That doesn't mean it's too expensive. Your position in the world, my position in the world, whoever, our position in the world is not the reference point for everything else that happens. It shouldn't be. What makes you or I or any one of us so important? I hope you have a great day. I hope you will consider maybe some of the things that we talked about today. I hope you'll consider supporting Whistlekick in some way. I think I'm off to the office. I'm off to the office for at least a little bit today. We'll see for how long. And no, if you haven't checked out all the Patreon stuff for Monday, you should. If you haven't joined the Patreon, you should. If you haven't checked out the family page at whistlekick.com, you should. I hope you will also have a wonderful day. I appreciate you being here. I hope to see you tomorrow. We got another episode of Martial Arts Radio dropping tomorrow because we do 2 a week. Somebody was surprised. One of the guests I was interviewing yesterday. You do 100 episodes a year? Yeah, more. 104, 105, somewhere in there. I appreciate your time. Have a fabulous day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.